don't know how much I want to dig into this. I saw this literally this morning. I was like, well, that is, everybody's looking for subscriptions.
Yep.
What are your thoughts on that?
Stupid. Here comes the sun, doo-doo-doo-doo. Here comes the sun, and I say it's Kirby. That's right, and that's how we're going to start off episode number 194 of the Promo Upfront podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Bill Petrie. With me, as always, let's call him the staff sergeant of spring break himself, the one and only Coshocton Kirby Hasseman. Kirby! How the heck are you? Happy spring, my friend.
Yeah, man, I'm doing well. I'm doing well. Love the serenade. Anytime you can sing me with your dulcet tones of the Beatles, I do love Here Comes the Sun. That's a great song. So I'm doing great. Just we were talking before we started recording. Things are hectic in a good way. So just trying to keep all those plates spinning. And as a rule, I actually had a meeting clear up to the end of the day, and Dustin and I were talking about it. And I said, "How do you think that went?" And he said it was kind of fun. It was, we're working on projects where we're having to be creative and really help our clients do cool stuff, and those are fun things. How are you, bud?
I'm doing great. Thank you for asking. I don't know who said it. Famous, axiom: "Idle hands are the devil's work." I agree. The busier I am, the more productive I am, the more energized I feel. Even though it's counterintuitive, you should be a little more exhausted, a little more tired. But what's interesting, Kirby? You said something about cool stuff and kind of how your day was, kind of a game changer for you, and it immediately got me to thinking. Guess what I was thinking about, Kirby? I don't know about you, but having been in this industry as long as I have, Kirby, sometimes, you get a little bored. So you need a day like you had to shake things up, right?
Totally.
But I get bored sometimes at the same old products from the same old suppliers, blah, blah, blah. You know what I'm talking about?
I do.
And sometimes it's really difficult to knock our clients' socks off with something fresh and new. And that's why I'm so thrilled today. Our sponsor is none other than the good people at Bam Bam. Sure, we know them for their amazing merchandise like knitwear, like socks and hats and beanies, scarves, stuff like that. And the truly fabulous sports marketing products, hence, heck, that's the name of the company, Bam Bams. But what you may not be aware of is that Bam Bams is continuing to change the game when it comes to being a supplier. Kirby, I have questions that are rhetorical in nature, so I do not expect you to answer. Did you know they are the made-to-order experts, especially the Bolt line of merchandise that's produced in 1 week or less with a minimum order quantity of one, and that covers outdoor, travel, apparel, bags, sports, and all things hospitality. Kirby, to reduce shipping costs and time, their main warehouse is now centrally located in the great state of Texas. That's right. What other supplier makes an investment like that to help distributors get merchandise to their clients faster? I'll tell you the answer to that, Kirby. None of them do. But here's my favorite. In an era where so many suppliers are partnering with name brands, we see it all the time. They're all these partnerships, and they're great. They're fine. They're wonderful. But Bam Bams has really changed the game by buying a name brand in Frio coolers, and these are made by some of the people who started. I don't know. I can't think of the name of mine. Freddie, Betty. It's something that's similar to that. I can't recall. It doesn't really matter, but that's tested better than those things. Okay. Wow. It's really refreshing to see a company that's changed the game in our industry, isn't it, Kirby? Now you may answer. That is
okay. I can answer that. Okay, cool.
Yes.
Yeah. No, I love not only like the game changing aspect of what they do, but I love just like the investment to continually innovate and move forward. And we all want to be a part and partner with organizations like that. So I think it's awesome to Bam Bams.
I do too, Kirby. And as usual, I couldn't have said it better myself. But there's one more way Bam Bams has changed the game, Kirby. That's right. They built a portal that makes ordering self promos as fast and frictionless as possible. We all know how important self promos are when you're selling promotional merchandise. Absolutely. All you have to do is visit bambamselfpromo.com and see how Bam Bams is always changing the game. All right, Kirby. I have the honor of doing the upfront part of the podcast this week, which means there's no obvious topics to talk about. It seems how it's been going lately. So I kind of went out. I'm going out on a limb here because there's not much in our industry that's really that I want to talk about anyway that I
Okay.
noticed. But I did see one thing. So, um, a large distributor, Proforma, is having their $1 million club this week. I'm starting to
Okay.
see posts, people going to San Antonio. They rotate wherever it is. Sometimes it's in the country, sometimes out of the country. Always at a fabulous place. And it got me to thinking about what's coming in summer. And
Okay.
summer is the season for national sales meetings for large distributors. I mean, you've got Halo, AIA, I Promote You, Geiger, Vernon, Kaiser Blair, and usually those take place somewhere between, I'm going to call it June 15th and September 30th.
Okay.
And I know this because A, have a lot of supplier friends in the industry, and B, all you have to do is follow social media because it's every week there's something. And so what I want to ask you,
Mhm.
you've been part of a large distributor, as
Mhm.
have I. Now it's been a long time, but
Yeah,
we've
it has.
both been part of a large distributor from the out, and we both have spoken at many of these
Mhm. Yeah.
types of events. So, we have some knowledge of it. I want to get your opinion. Do you feel there is value? So I'm not going to ask you if there's value because the obvious answer is yes. But what do you think the value truly is for that individual distributor network when
Mm.
they go to a national sales meeting?
Yeah.
And I've got a couple listed down if you want me to go. I'm kind of blindsiding you, as you
No,
would
no,
say.
I have
Okay.
immediate thoughts. So
Excellent. I
the
love
the
immediate thoughts.
the initial question was, what's the benefit for the supplier, the distributor? It sounds like you're saying
The,
for the distributors,
for
right?
the, I'm talking about the distributor audience. So
Yep.
when 200 people from Geiger descend upon the
Hmm.
city of their choosing for the Geiger National
Yeah.
sales meeting. What is the benefit to them, do you think?
Gosh, there's a couple, but the first one is culture. Like I think back to the Halo events that you and I were both a part of.
Sure.
Before that, it was JI for us. I
Hmm.
mean, I got to know and like you knew of the people who were doing well and they were on the lists and they were selling great stuff and whatever. But when you got together at one of those events, you got to learn together, you got to eat together, you got to drink together, you got to commiserate different things
Right.
and sort of really get to know people that I still have relationships with in the
Sure.
industry to this day. You have people that you like it was funny. I ran into a friend at Vegas and I hadn't seen her for a long time. And she was like, you know what? I was just going to call you the other day about something she was frustrated with. And we haven't talked in years. You establish relationships that just like you do with your clients, I think that that is the place where the real culture of the company is built. The other thing, and I said this, and I say this, and I think it comes off as a negative. I really don't mean it as a negative. It's the opportunity for that distributor, the company, to sell the company to the sales team, right?
Hmm.
Like one of the things I felt like Halo did an amazing job of is selling Halo to me. Like when I was this a
Yeah.
salesperson there, like, and those are the events to do that because you are creating this fun event and the vibe and you're telling the story of why your distributor company is the best
Hmm.
and all the benefits it has. And so I think the two things that come to mind are building the culture, building the team, building relationships with people that, I have friends that were West Coast Halo people that I would
Sure.
have never gotten to know had it not been
Absolutely.
for those. And then the other one is just solidifying people, the reputation of the organization with the foot soldiers who are out there telling the story.
Yeah, Kirby, I love those answers. Those I had both of those listed, so I'm not going to be the redundant man of redundancy and repeat them. You said it perfectly yourself. The one thing I'll also add, though, or two
Mhm.
things, if I may,
Yeah, sure.
education. I
Yeah.
think there's
Oh, yeah.
always an opportunity for education. I think that's obvious, but so obvious we
It's a
may
good
not
one.
even think about it.
That's a good one.
But it should be targeted education. It should be focused education, and it should revolve around the theme of the event,
Mhm.
and how people can, and more importantly, it should be actionable. Too much of the
Mhm.
education in our industry is theoretical.
Right.
It's, it's pie in the sky. Not that that's bad, but sometimes people have a very difficult time hearing what's happening on stage and extrapolating that into how do I use it to impact my business. And
Make
so I
money.
think making sure it's targeted, there's always value there. And the other one is, I think when I was a distributor, the best practices, right? It's
Mm,
fine,
yes.
especially, in an industry where we're finally moving away from competition and more to collaboration when people aren't working at the same distributor.
Yeah,
If you're still a little tentative about that, that distributor, that large, that's a safe place
it is.
to share best practices, to go back and forth. And here's what works for me. It might work for you. Maybe it will, maybe it won't. So, I think it's a great thing for that. Are there any downsides though, do you think, of this, this model? Because it seems to, I do think we should explore the possible downside.
Yeah,
There's so many of them. I
sure.
mean, I know it's a complete, as much as it's great for supplier business, I know it's also a tremendous ask on them, not only just financially, that's the obvious one, but also personally. I mean,
Mhm.
that type of travel takes a toll. I
Yeah.
mean,
Mhm.
so what do you think the downsides are of this type, that continual national sales meeting convention type model?
Yeah, I mean, I think that you're right. So it's the downside is supplier based for the most
Hmm.
part. Like I'm sure there's a downside for the distributor, but I
Yeah.
think for the distributor salesperson, it's an opportunity to get out of the like to get out of the office and do those things and reinvest and do like
Yeah.
all the stuff we just talked about.
Right.
Um, but yeah, it's because it is a financial thing too. Because if I
Yeah.
understand correctly, every single one of those suppliers is not only asked to be there, pay for their own way, all that stuff, but to pay to be there, right? Like it's not
Correct.
just, which is I think a challenging part of the model. Now, I will say, done right, it is just like my relationships with other salespeople. I built relationships with great suppliers. I remember, and I'll give a shout out, Brian Porter and I
Who?
yeah, from Starline developed a like that. It was at those meetings that
Never heard of
we
him.
developed a real relationship, a real friendship that carries on to this day.
Yeah.
Those suppliers that do it, there is an upside, but
Yeah.
man, I I I can't. I do not want that lifestyle. I have said that
So
to my supplier friends many times.
I agree. So again, not to belabor the point, the life is a very challenging one for
Yeah,
suppliers, going to, meeting after meeting, even though they're in these wonderful places. Sometimes they're hard to get to, and it takes time and
yeah.
time away from the
It's
office.
still a hotel, bro.
I, it is still a hotel. And so, but I'm going to go a little further, where I'd love to see distributors stop having these things funded by suppliers.
Mm,
I mean, the amount of money these things cost, I mean, just for access, is astronomical. I mean, for a large distributor, they charge sometimes $6,000 to $8,000 for a supplier just to be there and exhibit in their private trade show. And then there's all the meals that the suppliers generally ask to pay for. There's all the drinks. I mean, I know supplier friends who get stuck at the end of an event with a $2,400 bar bill. I mean, you're at very expensive resorts.
yeah,
The Jack and Colas are not cheap, kids. I
yeah,
mean, they're that's $18 a pop a lot of times.
yeah.
And so I'd love to figure out a way where it is a little more of a partnership from the large distributor. I even wonder sometimes if it's a profit center
Oh,
for
that was going
somebody.
to be my question. That's the question? Are these designed to make money for the distributor? I don't know because I
I
can't
don't
speak to
either.
that.
Yeah,
I, I
no one's pointing a finger here. I don't
yeah,
know, but it seems to me that it could be.
yeah. It's funny because and this is much smaller, but it's interesting because we do our end user show that we've
Hmm.
done for 20 years,
Hmm.
and I was probably 10 or 15 years into doing it when one of my supplier friends said, "Well, we really like coming to yours because you don't charge us," and
Right.
I was just like, "Other people charge you?"
Oh yeah.
Like now, to be fair, doing an event in Coshocton is much more cost effective than it is in Chicago. So I'm
Right.
sure that the facility costs more. And so if the supplier partners want to share the bill to make it more
Right.
okay, that's different than uh, like in that conversation, the supplier's like, oh no, the couple of the distributors are making money off their end user show. And I'm just like,
Yeah.
that's where I get frustrated when we throw around the term partner.
1000%.
Yeah, like
1000%.
so
It's
so if it's a profit center, then that's where I think you could back it off.
yeah.
That's where it's tough though, because you do it at these awesome locations, so people
Yeah.
come. So that's the part I just don't know the math on.
I don't know either. And it's one of the reasons at Promocations, when we do our pre-sale merch kit
Yeah.
for the cruise, and we have a cruise coming up, promo
Yep.
cruise, third promo cruise, we got asked, how much does it cost to be included in that by supplier sponsor? Like, nothing. You're donating product. We're
Yes.
not charging you to donate product.
Yes. but that's
It's
unique.
amazing. Yeah,
Yeah,
it truly is. All right, Kirby, good conversation. Hey, Kirby, you know me.
yeah,
You know how I love a good merch drop, don't you?
I
Well,
I do.
last week I was in love. This week I'm in love again because our pals at Kanata have dropped another mega product on the industry. This time it's the Bayside Throw. This blanket is specifically designed for use in outdoor spaces, Kirby, perhaps back 40 next to a fire pit. Sounds nice to me. It's perfect for those cool spring nights and will embrace any brand in affordable luxury. To check out this new blanket, again, that's the Bayside Throw. Head over to thekanatagroup.com today. All right, Kirby, please tell us you have a topic.
I do. I've got several topics. We'll see if we can get to them.
All right.
So the headlines like Netflix, Hulu, and now HP. Yeah. So the company is now offering, Hewlett Packard's now offering a monthly subscription for printers. For $6.99 a month, a customer will get a printer sent to them, complete with auto-shipped ink and tech support. The cost covers 20 printed pages. Uh, Printer sales have been declining for years, including 8% in the third quarter of 2023. So HP is now running a subscription offer on
Mhm.
printers, obviously
Yeah.
to the cost and nuisance of replacing the ink and cartridges. I, I don't know how much I want to dig into this. I saw this literally this morning. I was like, well, that is, everybody's looking for subscriptions.
Yep.
What are your thoughts on that?
Stupid. Well, from the company's perspective, it's kind of a Hail Mary, so I get it.
Yeah.
They're clinging on to technology that people aren't using as often. And for years, they've had the model of we're going to sell you cheap printers
Yep.
and they're fine. They'll work as long as they work, but we're making our money on the ink. So
Yeah.
basically, the actual printer itself was a loss leader. Uh, 20 pages is ridiculous. And
Right. That's what I thought.
I guarantee you that the cost per page after that is astronomical. We looked at something like this for my mother-in-law
Yeah.
to get it when she needed a new printer. And no, we will buy the $80 printer and I'll get a big thing of ink. And trust me, that thing will dry up before you ever get through the pages it'll run through. And when it does, we'll reorder it through Amazon. It's not a big deal. It's easy. I understand what HP is doing. Like you said, everybody wants a subscription model, but for us as the buyer, it's very much in my mind, buyer beware. You're going to get subscriptioned into poverty if you're not careful.
Oh, for days. And, I think of, that time because the folks who are going to be printing out stuff and there are times when I'm printing things out because I just want to have a copy. I'm going to a trade show. Let's just do like got one coming up.
Yeah.
Well, you're printing out directions, you're printing out, maybe not directions, that's a
Right.
bad
It
example,
is.
but like registration stuff, your whatever. You print
Right.
out a few things. Dude, like when you hit print, it's going to be 4 pages, like
Mhm.
whatever it is, because it's like it stretches out. 20
Yeah.
pages is going to last you a day
Uh,
if
well,
you print on a regular basis. That's nothing.
100%. I print out I like written notes. I don't like reading off my phone and I don't like reading off a screen when you
Yep.
and I are talking. I feel it's a little more that we're more engaged if I'm looking down at a physical piece of paper. That's just me. Maybe it's an
Yeah.
age thing, whatever. Make fun of me. I don't care.
Yeah.
But I do find it distracting when people are reading off a phone. Plus, technology fails. It
Mhm.
can,
Yeah.
especially if you're dependent on like a Google form that is
Sure.
connected to the internet or something.
Yep.
So I get why they're doing it. It's a Hail Mary. Do you want to
Yeah.
go another quick topic, or I have a quick topic too, but it's up to you.
Go
I
for it. And then I'll
All
have
right.
another quick one after that.
And then we're gonna wrap this baby up. All right. Hey Kirby, do you like the subway?
My wife likes the subway, so I end up
All
going to
right.
the subway.
So after 20 years, I don't know if you're aware that Subway is dumping their partnership with Coca-Cola products,
Oh, I did
starting
hear
in
this. Yes.
starting in January
Yeah,
of
I'm
2020.
excited about this.
Oh, oh wow. Okay. I guess maybe this is a longer conversation than I thought. So they're dumping Coca-Cola and they've made a 10-year agreement starting in January 2025 with Pepsi Cola
Mhm.
and their products. So obviously you prefer Pepsi over Coke.
I
I
do.
don't really drink much of that stuff either
Right.
anymore. But I'm a Coke guy, generally
Yep.
speaking. My real question is, okay, a restaurant brand changes their drink affiliation. And Coke versus Pepsi is a very polarizing
Sure.
topic.
Yeah, we've argued about it before.
And I've been proven right many times. Um, does that impact your want and desire to go to Subway. So for you specifically, now that they're going to have Pepsi, is that going to make you want to go to Subway more? Does that impact your decision?
Not really. Like, you know what I mean? Like, and I'm a bad example though. So, and we can mock me a little bit here. I think you'll
Okay.
appreciate it.
Yeah, no
So,
problem.
yeah. So we know what I eat for breakfast every day, right?
Yes, you go to the hospital and you have eggs, bacon, and some sort of bread of your choosing.
No, no, just eggs and bacon. That's it.
Okay.
There's
Well,
no carbs. No carbs. So I go to Subway every Monday. That is it. Like that's I get so you know, as a part of my normal routine, it's a decision I don't have to make. So I'm gonna go to Subway on Monday where they have Coke or Pepsi. Now that being said, yeah, I am excited about it because actually most of the time I just don't even order a drink.
mhm.
Like Amy and I will share a drink. She drinks most of it, and she gets either Coke or sweet tea or something like that. But now I might actually get Mountain Dew or something like that. And so I'm excited because it enhances my experience. It will not change my purchasing
Got
decisions
it.
other
As
than
an aside, the fact that you drink Mountain Dew always makes me giggle. I don't know why. It just feels funny. And he's cranking out a dew. He's doing the dew right now. I love it. All right. To me, actually, it does impact if I would go to a restaurant. Now, granted, we live in different areas. I have
yep,
a little more choice and a little more selection just because of the size of the city. It's not a
yep,
cut at Coshocton.
yep.
Um, but it would absolutely impact. I will tell you, at our first when we went on our first cruise, Sandy and I and the kids 5 years ago, 4 years ago, whatever, a big family cruise, had a great time. They had Coke products.
Mm,
And then, right after that, they changed to Pepsi, and I'm like, "That's terrible," because I like Jack and Coke or Jack and
sure.
Coke Zero. That would absolutely impact whether I went on another Carnival cruise, believe
Mm,
it or not. It
yeah,
'cause that so I always find it interesting when they make these agreements because 'cause I've always looked at, like, Burger King's a Pepsi company,
yeah.
McDonald's a Coke company.
I love that you know that. Like
I
that's how much I don't. It won't affect me because I don't even know who has what until I walk in the store most of the
Well,
time.
trust me, drinking Mountain Dew the way you do will absolutely affect you in ways you can't even possibly imagine.
Yeah, well, make me extra awesome.
Well, I don't know how that's possible. All right, Kirby, could you extra awesome us another, topic?
Yeah. Okay. So this was something I just read about yesterday,
Mhm.
or this morning. I can't remember. Um, Glassdoor. Are you familiar with what
I
Glassdoor
am.
is?
Mhm.
Okay. So essentially, Glassdoor is a place where anonymously people can, like employees can go write reviews about
Right.
their company, and so they can write honest opinions or whatever.
Correct.
um, and while you can still post anonymously, apparently they have started to require and verify the identity of users with their full name, title, and company.
Hmm.
So they are concerned that all of a sudden that information will get out. And they're, you know, the users who have been apparently using Glassdoor are freaking out about it on social media.
Sure.
Now, of course, Glassdoor is saying, look, we've been asked 100+ times to subpoena user identities and we've said no. But it's you know, the people are concerned that it's going to be much more easy to get that information and
Yeah.
get access to those folks. Thoughts about like I'm kind of I have thoughts on both sides of this, and I just was kind of curious to see if you had any opinions on the
I think
idea of people griping about work anonymously online.
It's actually you'll probably be a little surprised by this. I think that's one of the places that anonymity should be the order of the day, to
Mhm.
be honest with you. I think that allows people who have a legitimate axe to grind, and if you read the reviews, you can tell what's silly, who got fired for cause and they're just cranking about it, or people who have legitimate issues with an organization and how they treat women, how they treat minorities,
Mm,
how they treat workers, period.
yeah.
I think when you take away the opportunity for that anonymity, and I'm sure it'll still say anonymous when you see it online, but I get a letter in the mail once a month about a data breach. I see it online once a week
Mm,
about a data breach. So to thought that that information's not going to get out there, I don't care if you're the US government. I don't believe that
yeah.
my information isn't going to get into the wrong hands. So I think you have to keep it anonymous. Unless I mean, maybe they have some pending litigation. I think you mentioned that you know they get subpoenaed for usernames because someone is defaming a company online. To me, and again, I'm no legal scholar. I'm no scholar, period, legal or otherwise. But I like that that's the one place I think where anonymity makes all the sense in the world. It's the only place I can think of online where anonymity makes all the sense in the world because you get those honest reactions. I would love your opinion because you said you were torn.
Yeah, I am torn, and I think you made the argument more eloquently than I was going to make about the importance of anonymity for whistleblowing, for God knows more employees, it sounds like, at Boeing should have been on Glassdoor, right? Like, but I will say philosophically I struggle with the idea of not being willing to, like, and I've not been on Glassdoor, so I
Mhm.
literally haven't read a single thing anybody said. So if you're saying, hey, it's easy to tell when somebody has a real axe to grind or whatever, okay. But most of the time, I think it's chicken shit. Like most of the time, it's like, no, you like. But again, that's why I say I'm torn, because what you said about I'm a white guy, I get it. Like so, I do understand that. That being said, there are a bunch of people who are anonymous on Glassdoor who are white guys. I guarantee.
1000%.
So
No,
like I think so many
1000%.
times there is, and we're moving more and more and more in our society away from the opportunity to just be candid, say something to somebody's face. And I think that is an issue with culture, that while like outing some things
Yeah.
is good, I think getting rid of being able to pick up the phone call or talk to somebody face to face is not helping our culture either.
I agree with that last statement
Yeah.
100%, 100% in alignment with you on that.
That's why I said I'm torn.
I'm in
Yeah,
favor of being direct, but when you're talking about, think about if you run your own company, I run my own company. So generally I look in the mirror and agree with that person. You do too.
not always,
But
but yes.
but you and I have also worked at large entities. You've worked at Log and Burger Baskets. I
Mhm.
worked at Halo, a large entity. And I don't know how comfortable I'd feel being direct about my actual concerns about the organization because I don't want to lose my job because I got a
Sure.
mortgage to pay. I've got kids to feed. I've got all these responsibilities. And so that's why I think something like Glassdoor is important. We're not talking about the promotional products Facebook page where someone can anonymously bitch and moan about a supplier. I think that's wrong. I
Sure.
do think that's wrong because that the supplier is not going to blackball you
Yeah.
for being direct. Say, hey, I've got real issues here with what's happening, whether it's quality or decoration, whatever. I think for this, because you're talking about people's livelihoods, I do think the anonymity, it's right there. It's like just an edge over to anonymity, but to
Mhm.
me, it's enough of an edge. I don't even question it. I think it should be anonymous. But you have anything else to say on that?
No, again, like I said, I'm torn. That being said, and I've never read a single thing on Glassdoor, so that I'm uneducated on this. But I will say, historically speaking, I still think it's kind of chicken shit.
Well, torn between two lovers.
We're singing a lot today.
Well, let's not sing today. You know what though? What you're talking about though is an interesting thing, but it's not game changing, Kirby.
True.
Okay, I'll tell you what is game changing though. That's our good pals over at the Bam Bams, and don't use it's just Bam Bams. Over at Bam Bams, they are changing the game. They are the made to order experts, especially with that bulk line of merchandise that's produced in 1 week or less with a minimum order quantity of one. Covers outdoor travel, apparel, bags, sports, and all things hospitality. But my favorite, in an era where there's just partnerships between brand names and suppliers, they found a brand name that they love so much, they bought it, they own it, they control it. So that means the quality is the same, the brand is the same. We're talking about Frio coolers that test as good, if not better, than Betty or whatever the name of that company is. I can't think of it now.
Yeah.
But anyway,
Other
hey,
other big retail brand.
other big retail cooler type brands. Hey, but also they're changing the game into self promos. We know how self promos are important. It's so easy. It's a frictionless way to order self promos. It's bambamsselfpromo.com. All right, Kirby, I want to thank you very much for having the courage to go to Subway once a week, every day for the remainder of your days
Yes, that's right.
and chug a Mountain Dew.